Good morning and welcome to the Open here on BNN Bloomberg. I'm Roger Peterson. Thank you very much for joining us. Now let's get to some of the stories we are following for you in the BNN Bloomberg newsroom. First quarter profit for Enbridge came in slightly above estimates, and the company maintained its profit forecast for the full year. The Calgary-based company added $2 billion worth of projects this quarter, bringing its order backlog to $40 billion. Enbridge says price fluctuations, rapidly shifting geopolitical dynamics, and unexpected supply disruptions have significantly impacted the energy landscape. Profit for Brookfield Asset Management rose 11% in the latest quarter, driven by strong fundraising and an increase in fee-paying assets. The company raised $21 billion in new investment during the quarter. Connor Teskey became CEO in February and says the company has significant capital available to deploy as opportunities emerge and limited exposure to areas of market stress. Aritzia's latest quarter brought a 35% jump in profit and a revenue increase that was almost as high. The Vancouver-based company continues to open more boutiques and push a recently launched app. The retailer says profit grew despite the significant impact from tariffs and other duties. As well, Aritzia made a revenue forecast that topped analyst expectations. And coming up on the show today, Jeff Hall, Senior Financial Advisor at Manulife Wealth, will be joining us for the hour. In 30 minutes, we'll get the latest jobs report from both sides of the border. We'll digest the data with Brendan Bernard, Senior Economist at Indeed. And of course, we want to hear from you this morning on First Call. Reach out with your questions on U.S. and global stocks, and we'll have Jeff answer as many of them as he can at the end of the show. The number to call, 1-855-326-6266. We will open the phone lines in about 30 minutes. Our email address is firstcall@bellmedia.ca. And now our top line story, the U.S. and Iran clashing overnight near the Strait of Hormuz, raising tensions and putting a shaky ceasefire at risk as talks continue to end the war. Washington says it struck Iranian military targets after attacks on U.S. warships, while Tehran seized an oil tanker, raising fresh risks for global energy markets and regional stability. For more on this, let's bring in our guest for the hour, Jeff Hall, Senior Financial Advisor at Manulife Wealth. And Jeff, thanks as always for joining us, especially on a Friday. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
And we see this possible buildup or possible flaring up, and yet the markets and oil are relatively calm.
Yeah, I think people are getting a little bit bored. There's an old military saying we have. It's during these ceasefires. It's you cease, they fire. So you can never trust. These roots and realities. But the biggest challenge from my contacts are telling me is that there's not one person in Iran that's in control of everything. You have all these fragmented groups, and they have something called the Mosaic Protocol, and that's with Iran, because on day one they lost command and control because all their communications went down. So all the different leaders of things like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they can actually do what they want because they can't communicate with anybody.
And the provinces as well have their kind of
exactly. So you have all these like fragmented groups kind of doing their own thing. That's why, if you remember early on, Trump had referred to someone that they were communicating with that proved by putting through 12 ships initially without any problems that they were someone that does have control over different aspects. And that's the hard part right now. Who are they negotiating with? Like, for instance, the Ayatollah. Nobody's seen the Ayatollah, the new Ayatollah. So you don't know if someone's just behind the scenes tweeting.
Now, is with this, I mean, is the fact that both sides on the bigger level seem to be staying calm, and does that mean the talks? Could you interpret that as talks are maybe progressing or something is progressing?
Yeah, I'd say
they're going. This was a little faux pas over here, and we're going to deal with it.
Yeah, but the big
guys are talking.
Absolutely, no question. And they all have a vested interest in getting this thing wrapped up. And what's really strange that nobody talks about with Iran is things like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard we just talked about. They own a lot of the industries in Iran, so they don't want to see their infrastructure destroyed, because that's how they actually pay their group. They're almost like the specifically Islamic Revolutionary Guard is more like their head mercenaries that kind of run the show.
Paramilitary, aren't
Exactly. They got these other groups that are all within different militaries that sometimes don't get along. But it would be almost as if the Marines in the U.S. own 20% of GM and 20% of Ford. You go, that's so strange, but in Iran, that's actually common. So they don't want to see their factories blowing up. They want the industry to get going, because that's how they make money to then pay their troops and that. So when you're not paying your troops, eventually, if they're not part of the the strongest of the Islamic side, they might just say, okay, I'm packing it in. I'm not going to work. And so it's very, very important that they get paid. And also Trump not allowing oil to be sold and exported from Iran is actually really pinching them.
I was going to say, does it feel like the Iranians are feeling the pressure more, or the U.S.? Because you've got the midterms coming up, and gas prices are up, but you've got Iran, you're shutting down their ability to move oil. Who's feeling it more right now? Who's winning?
Well, there's no question the U.S. is winning. When you hear that there's a quagmire and the U.S. is losing it, I don't know who's seeing that. The Iranians had no Air Force at the end of 3 days. They had 159 ships. Of their 159 were sunk by week 3. Now they're running around like little speedboats and stuff, like water skiers. It's pretty unreal, but it's really a dance between hard power and soft power. Hard power being the bullets, barbed wire, and battleships, and soft power being that kind of economic pressure and diplomacy. It's almost like the donkey. Do you motivate it with the stick or the carrot? With Iran, you kind of need both, and it's tough to kind of bring them along, because over the years, Iran's very good at, actually the one thing they're very good at actually is negotiation, but also delay and deter tactics, right? So it's a fine dance. I wouldn't want to be in the negotiating room under this circumstance.
No, it's interesting. And then bigger picture, I mean, we're still not seeing oil coming through, or we're not seeing as much getting through, yet oil's moving, and the world is still functioning.
Yeah, and it's because there's a lot of reserves. Before the conflict started, the world was oversupplied with oil. So that kind of helped a bit, but also the Saudis are the second largest in the world for oil, and they still are pumping 7 million barrels a day, but instead of taking it out in the Hormuz Strait, they're taking it out in the West in pipelines and dropping it in the Red Sea and shipping it out there. We got Venezuela that's pumping more and more. The U.S. is a net exporter. Canada's a net exporter. But thankfully, it's not so much the West that's really being pinched other than with jet fuel. It's actually countries like South Korea and Japan. They get over 80% of their oil that comes out of the Hormuz Strait, and they're suffering, which secretly is why California's suffering. Because people don't realize California isn't wise and just gets their gasoline next door from Texas. They actually get it from South Korea, because they want all certain additives taken out. They want a certain type of fuel.
Is it American oil that's shipped there and then shipped back?
No, it comes out of the
Middle East oil.
The Middle Eastern oil goes to South Korea. Then they do the special recipes that California prefers.
Yeah.
And then they ship it across the Pacific to California. So people always say California gas is so much. That's part of the reason. But they also don't take, for instance, Canada. They wouldn't take our oil sands oil. They consider it too dirty. But also they don't even take our pressure-treated lumber, because California has all kinds of building problems and fires, things. They would love to have our pressure-treated lumber, but they don't like the chemical Canada uses for the lumber. So they get BC's right there. They don't take any lumber in from BC. It's crazy.
So California is still California-ing.
Yeah, over-regulated, over-choked off, absolutely.
And who else is impacted? What are the other places that we might see an impact with this?
Actually, I'll tell you where there's an impact that nobody's talking about, and this is going to last at least 8 months, is there's actually a shortage right now of helium. People are always thinking oil, and that's the whole region, but they forget that a lot of agricultural chemicals come out of there. Yep. But helium's a big one. 5% of it's used for kids' balloons and that, but 30% is used for science.
5% is used for kids' balloons?
Kids' balloons and consumers,
funny.
yeah. 30% is for medical and science. So if you ever go for an MRI and you go in that donut tube, there's spinning magnets in there. They cool the magnets with helium, as an example. But the big one is 25% of the world's helium supply goes to the manufacture of microchips. So they use that to blow air across the chips as they're manufacturing them at the microscopic level. So no dust or anything is there, because helium's lighter than air and will lift off microscopic dust. So without that, you slow down chip production. So there's all this cascade effect of more than just oil.
Are we seeing that yet with the chip production? Is it having an impact?
No, because Germany has a massive vault supply, but also they've overpaid the chip manufacturers, especially Taiwan Semiconductors, overpays to be number one in line for supply. So the things you'll see behind that will start dropping off are kids' party balloons and other things that aren't as important. The MRI machines will probably get their helium for their cooling, but you might not get it for some of the universities that study cancer research and that, because it's not an immediate need. The reason for the supply disruption is 30% of the world's helium comes out of Qatar. And with them, as an example, they got hit with one of the first missiles from Iran, and it damaged their facility. They'll probably close down for about 8 months in that facility. And if that supply is 30% of the world and it's shut down, where's the other supply going to come from in this kind of choke point along the way? way.
Okay, wasn't there this myth that we were running out of helium too? Or is it true or pseudo-true?
Yeah, it is true. Well, just naturally from the Earth, it's leaking. So how you get helium is it's a byproduct of natural gas extraction. If you know how to capture the helium, that's what you do at the same moment. But it also leaks into the upper atmosphere. And funny enough, people say, why is China going to mine the moon? Nobody really knows, but helium-3, which is extremely rare, is actually plentiful on the moon, as an example, which is very strange. But once Earth runs out of helium, it's gone. That's it.
All right, we've got to take a break on that note, Jeff, but we got lots coming up, and we'll be talking about the AI gold rush that isn't just about the giants. Some of the biggest winners may be hiding in the shadows. More after the break. AI is moving fast, and the real winners may not be the biggest names that everyone knows. We're back with Jeff Hall from Manulife Wealth for his take on other companies that are powering the AI boom. And Jeff, what your quote was? Tell me your quote about what AI is going to accomplish in the next 2 years.
It's amazing, actually. So AI right now is in kindergarten. We're already seeing massive benefits from something that really is in kindergarten right now. In the next 2 years, it's almost like it's gone through high school, university, master's degree, and a PhD. It will have read everything ever written and produced by every human on this earth through all of history in every language, religion, culture, and region. So think about one entity that would have all that knowledge, and then its job is to take everybody to the next level.
It's called the Borg, isn't it? I think it's called the Borg, if I'm not mistaken. But now, will it be able to process all that and make sense of it, though?
Oh, absolutely. But the real magic, and that is amazing, will be when quantum computers, those computers that exist now, that can go up to 1 million to up to 12 million times faster than today's supercomputers, when that marries AI, it's a whole other level of human experience and physics and science and medicine and cures and material design and everything it can do will be truly incredible. So the future's, if AI doesn't kill us all, it'll be fantastic.
It'll be great. It'll cure us all. But yeah, I mean, we've already seen, you were talking about cancers. There's already been a moment that AI has made a difference.
Yeah, and actually early on, AI made a huge difference in detecting breast cancer, as an example, better than the human eye could when it's reading reports. But just this last few weeks, pancreatic cancer, one of the worst possible cancers that's been out there, they now have an ability with AI. They figured out ways to start catching it in stage 1, rather than when most people get diagnosed in stage 4 and it's too late to do anything. So just that leap forward from stage 4 to people starting to get diagnosed in stage 1 and have the path and a way to do that now is revolutionary, and it'll save a lot of people.
Okay, so behind the scenes, what are we looking at? Where do you see the opportunities with this?
Well, obviously
there's lots, but where
like everybody
some
knows,
are better than others?
Yeah, so everybody knows NVIDIA. I've been pounding the drum here for 15 years on NVIDIA, love it. But there's a lot of obvious companies that way. But sometimes you got to go into the shadows to find the companies that are drafting in behind, either as a partner or distributor, or supporting these larger entities out there. For instance, there was a big deal yesterday where NVIDIA paid a lot of money to help Corning. Now, Corning, we know, because when I grew up, my mother cooked in Pyrex dishes.
Yeah, it's down in New York, right?
And all of our smartphone glass is called Gorilla Glass out of Corning. So they do all kinds of interesting glasswork. But that's where you get the fiber optic cables, because you hear a lot about copper. Now, I think copper is not going to be as needed as people think, because a lot of the data centers, even NVIDIA's most advanced chips, use very fine lines, like almost like hair of copper inside their GPUs, as an example. But now they're switching to things like Corning, where you got the fiber optic cables, because literally you shoot light down the glass, it's at the speed of light. So the processing time is minimum 20 times faster than what's happening with copper. It's less power needs, less breakdown. So it's really going to push to another level. So something as simple as the wiring that nobody sees behind the data centers is very important out there. It's just one of many examples.
And I mean, with copper, could we see the point where the data centers are even wireless to a degree? Like,
to a degree.
But they need the speed of the connection, don't they?
Yeah, and the fun part for investors is to figure out from A to Z, all the way through A to Z. You've got a situation where everyone knows NVIDIA, and they know we need power for the data centers, but people don't realize how much heat is generated by data centers. You need companies like Vertiv, and Vertiv is out there that helps cool the data centers down so that the chips don't overheat and melt. If you remember back 20 years ago, everyone's box kind of desktop computer had a fan in the back. That's so that air could blow across an Intel chip so it didn't melt.
Some guys would use the water-cooled computers, right?
Those are the high-speed ones. And that's kind of what Vertiv does at a microscopic level even. It's like the radiator in your car is there to help your engine from not overheating. That's what Vertiv does as one. But another area that's really good and it's had a phenomenal result in the last a few months especially is people forget that with an AI data center like Amazon Web Services, the largest cloud and data center system in the world from Amazon, they host, for instance, Netflix, where we watch movies as an example. Well, that has to be stored somewhere. So if there's this vault of all these shows from Netflix, like where is it stored? Like a car in a garage? Well, that's on hard drives. So those are companies like Western Digital, SanDisk, Seagate that make hard drives the size of my phone for laptops and things we can have an external hard drive. But inside of data centers, they have these large products that will actually store tons and tons of terabytes to have everyone's cloud available to them in a moment's notice.
And now with quantum computing, will those needs be the same, or does it function at a cooler level? Does it use less energy? Does it use more energy?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. So quantum computers, the biggest problem they have right now is they're only turned on for a couple minutes because they essentially will melt. The coldest places on Earth to this day are not the North Pole or the South Pole. It's in these dedicated rooms that will hold a quantum computer that's probably only maybe 4 times bigger or 5 times bigger than I am. But that room must be so chilled, so much below zero, just to have it be able to function. That's some of the problems. That's what we hear about people like Elon Musk saying we're going to put data centers in space because space is natural cold. So it's an interesting area.
But I find that the data centers in space, I'm like, but then how are we? Or I guess do we got Bluetooth to it? Like, how do they get the data up? Will they transport it up, or will it be?
Yeah, it'll just be like, so that's why
sending down signals.
Yeah, so recently Elon Musk did a deal with a company called EchoStar to buy a lot of their LEOs, low Earth orbit satellites, so they can project all of this data back and forth rapidly. And then, of course, you got new satellites going up all the time with companies like Rocket Lab and SpaceX. But it's pretty amazing that way. But the space actually strangely solves a lot of the problems, not just cold, but solar.
And we're going to be talking more about that coming up. It's a new area for investment, from satellites and low Earth orbit to plans that now include the moon, Alice, the moon. We'll be back with Jeff Hall with his investment ideas. Kids, look that one up. Investment activity in space is growing with more and more satellites, communication networks, and early plans for off-Earth infrastructure coming into focus. We're back now with Jeff Hall, Senior Financial Advisor at Manulife Wealth, who's looking at Elon Musk's companies and how they fit together for that broader push and what it means for the future of space economy. He's a genius. He really is, isn't he? And a visionary. Like he sees things we're not seeing, and Mars is what he's seeing, right?
Yeah, he's got this innate ability to look far down the future and around corners that other people just can't quite see that way. But his whole life goal since he was a kid is he wanted to colonize Mars, like make the human species truly interstellar. And what people don't realize is he's actually all these appearance of non-related companies out there, XAI, Tesla with their cars and robots, SpaceX, and all this stuff, are not non-related. Every single one of his businesses has some purpose on the surface of Mars. So I'll give you an example. Before humans get to Mars, it'll all be built up for us, almost like a Holiday Inn. You and I would go there and they say, okay, you're in room 13A. I'm
just have a 2-year drive to get there, but other than that.
Just wear your spacesuit when you use the pool outside. Yeah. But the reality is, like for instance, what he will do is he'll send SpaceX rockets to Mars, Optimus robots. The robots can go and build everything for the human race before we ever get there, years before. They don't care about oxygen. They don't care about the cold. They're also not part of a union. They work 24 hours a day when they're charging, and they can just keep building everything. So when humans finally get there, everything's kind of built out. And also humans likely won't live on the surface like movies. They'll live slightly underground because it's peppered like the moon with constant little comets and meteorites. So underground, well, that's the boring company that bores tunnels and things that he's done. Also getting around on the surface will be gas vehicles or electric. Well, they're going to be electric vehicles like Tesla. Yeah. So you start to go down on these lists. It's amazing, these companies, how they actually fit together and all have that sole purpose of getting humans to Mars.
What's there, though? What do we need there?
Absolutely nothing.
This is just a fantasy and a dream.
Yeah, I think it's more aspirational because there's so much stuff that comes out of all the space programs. We got Velcro out of the space programs,
pens.
GPS.
Didn't we get ballpoint pens?
Yeah, and pens that can write upside down and all these things. So the space program really is a launching pad for new technologies. When you and I were kids, there was Tang. Remember that powdered orange juice?
Going up to space with Tang.
Exactly. Not the healthiest thing, but you get all these innovations that then Earth can start to adopt. And even the military and aerospace is like that, right? GPS was missile guidance. Then now we can drive drive our cars or even on a bicycle or a walk somewhere on our phone. We can know where we're going with maps. That all came out of military and space technologies. So there's a lot of opportunity that way for the future. But space, and Musk is doing a lot of things. He's got a Starlink program that actually helped even the beginning of the Ukraine war, as an example. Everybody had still access to their internet to know where to go and maps, and the women and children could leave the country, what train to go to. Because like we talked earlier with Iran, the first thing your enemy does is take out your command and control. Russia couldn't do that because they'd have to hit thousands of satellites up in space. So
impossible to do.
Just genius that way.
Is there a danger, though, that he gets too focused on that and his companies suffer?
Yeah, so you keyed into something right at the beginning. They're very wise. He is a genius. If I had to hire a chief innovation officer, I would hire him in 3 seconds. If I had to hire a CEO, he's bottom on my list. I don't want my CEO having a bunch of side hustles with the Boring Company making flamethrowers and doing this other stuff. He's got Tesla, he's got the Optimus robots. Who knows what he has behind the scenes, Neuralink and all the things he's working on. When a CEO has to divide its attention, it's not giving total attention to one area. And that happened with Tesla. If you remember when he went off to help Trump at the beginning of his administration and do Doge, Tesla was practically on fire. Actually, some of the Teslas were literally on fire. And where was the CEO? He was AWOL. So again, very focused. We need people each generation like an Elon Musk or a Henry Ford that kind of have this outside the box thinking to take everybody to another level, but they're not always the best champion of how to get there without bruising relationships and breaking things along the way.
So what do you do? I mean, what do you do then? If he's really aiming for that, is it a danger to go with Tesla, space, and his AI company?
Well, I think people have to be careful. The one pivot I really liked that he did, he said, okay, yeah, we're going to start with the moon, which really should be the test drive. Like, okay, just get stuff to the moon. It's not that hard. Build there, see where the glitches are and problems with Optimus robots and everything out in space before you get all the way to Mars and go, whoops, it doesn't work there. So it's better he's doing like he's got to crawl before he walks, before he runs. And his dream is to get to Mars. So knowing that he's willing to tap down his dream a bit to be more realistic operationally makes a lot of sense. But as an investor in Tesla, I always want to be careful that the job of a publicly traded company literally is to make money for the share owners, not to achieve a dream and a goal of its billionaire, soon to be trillionaire owner. So people have to be very aware of that. Is he being responsible with his share owners' money or disrespectful and about the future?
Are there any other companies space-wise that are challenging for recognition and name and size?
A bunch. Actually, one that's probably most like SpaceX that's similar is a company called Rocket Labs that was started out of New Zealand. Now it's in California. They've done 85 launches, so they're a smaller version, almost a clone of a SpaceX, but just a little bit different. But there's other companies. We just saw recently Globalstar, which has its LEO, its low Earth orbit satellite network that Apple owned 20% of, so that our phones would have a 911 anywhere in the world. Most people don't know that. If you don't have a cell service, you do have 911 through the satellite system.
Yeah, now I know that.
There you go. However, Jeff Bezos and Amazon is now making a bid to buy all of Globalstar, so they're negotiating with Apple so they can take over the whole company. And therefore, very soon, Amazon, even Prime members might actually end up with a cell service for free. But now you can take your phone anywhere in the world. You could be in the South Pole, North Pole, an Egyptian pyramid, wherever you want to be, and your phone will work. I remember I was in Vietnam for business, and I got a little bit nervous because a third of the time I had no cell service. So I don't know if the taxi driver that doesn't speak English is even driving in the right direction, or am I going to be kidnapped? You don't know what's going on because I couldn't even watch my GPS maps. So having that global satellite to know where you are and be able to communicate anywhere in the world is very powerful. Elon Musk has learned that, but now he's got Jeff Bezos on the other side. The two billionaires are going to kind of probably battle it out in space.
Billionaires in the space. All right, we're going to wrap it up on that note. Still ahead, Stats Canada is releasing its labor force data for April. We'll break down those numbers with our next guest. And Brendan Bernard is our next guest, senior economist at Indeed. Always love chatting with him. Our phone lines will open up soon for our first call segment. Reach out at 1-855-326-6266. Send us an email, first call at bellmedia.ca. Stats Canada has just released the latest Canadian employment report, and for reaction and some in-depth analysis on it, we're going to bring in Brendan Bernard, senior economist at Indeed. Brendan, thanks for jumping in here. Sounds like a bit of a disappointment. We had the numbers, they lost jobs, which was, if I'm reading correctly, not what was expected.
Yeah, it's a negative number. We're at about a loss of 18,000 for the month, concentrated in full-time work. And this time, unlike other previous weaker numbers this year, the unemployment rate ticked up. from 6.7 to 6.9%. So on the headline, not a great number, and one where this is kind of fitting with a trend that we've seen over the start of the year, that conditions are pretty soft. Looks like the hours worked numbers were pretty flat, so not a huge change on that front. But just in general, I think consistent with pretty stagnant conditions. I don't think it's a dramatic shift. 2 months ago, we had a much weaker number, and minus 18,000. It's not too far off from the margin of error for zero change, because we know these numbers are noisy. But things are static in the labor market right now, and this report is just further evidence of that.
Brendan, question for you. When you look deeper and deeper into the numbers, is there any areas that look weak or worrying versus other areas? Where are the areas that really have that Achilles heel moving forward?
So just on the demographic side, got to highlight the situation in youth employment, where we saw a jump in the youth unemployment rate today. It had been bouncing around 14% over the past few months, and we saw it pop up to 14.3% in April. So April is still not the summer jobs season, but the youth, the challenges facing youth go well beyond that, and that was something that we saw persist in today's numbers. So that's a first thing that really jumps out. Then looking at the different areas by industry, these numbers are volatile month to month. I see manufacturing put a slight decline in there. Obviously, manufacturing is the most trade war impacted sector. It wasn't the driver of the weakness in today's numbers. We had information, culture, and recreation. This actually includes the telecom sector, which we know has been under pressure in employment over the past few years, and construction also coming in quite weak. That's actually hasn't been one of the weaker spots. So a few spots of weakness. It's actually a bit of a range across different sectors. We saw some gains in healthcare, business building, support services, accommodation, food services. So a mixed bag on the industry front. The demographic point, though, really stands out. That just the situation facing youth, who are the demographic who need employers to be hiring for them to have success in the labor market, they continue to struggle.
And do we have any indicators as to why is this AI, the impact being felt? I mean, there was always that talk that young people trying to get those first jobs are now being replaced. Is this the start of that? Is that a possibility?
You know, it's a good question, because the timing sort of lines up. But whether it's actually AI or other things going on in the economy, that's a lot tougher to assess. I've been tracking on Indeed just job posting trends in the most AI exposed occupations, and they, compared to where things were in early 2020, like pre-pandemic, they are weaker than other types of jobs. The thing is, though, that weakness started a bit earlier than before we entered the new AI age. It started in early 2022, when I'd say we entered the AI age as when ChatGPT became popularized at the end of 2022. So the trends almost line up, but this boom in the tech sector and other professional services started a bit before, the boom that turned into a bust started a bit before we entered the AI age. Now we're in the kind of a period where it's been lingering for a while. That it's fair to wonder, but it's also important to note that there is weakness in hiring appetite across a wide range of areas in the economy. For instance, when we look at teenage employment, which is the segment of youth that have been crushed over the past few years, it's in retail and accommodation and food services that are driving their weakness. And so that highlights that there are other trends in the economy going on as well that have really hit youth employment.
So a question for you. I know it's hard to break out the numbers, but maybe you also, with your hand on the pulse, but maybe you can let us know. There's a lot of people that just leave the workforce entirely, or some people that may have been laid off that suddenly come up with a bit of a side hustle. They work for Uber and Uber Eats and things like that. Is there any way to factor that in? Because that is something that sometimes is a transitional type of a scenario for a lot of people looking for work and to put food on the table.
Yeah, these StatCan numbers aren't always the best at tracking things like side hustle and gig work because they really mainly focus on what do you usually do? What did you do in the month during the survey reference week? Where and what is it? What are your usual job habits? Where when it comes to gig work, it's often quite intermittent, and it might there over the course of a year, many people will work in gig work who won't be captured during that survey reference week. I think more broadly, when we look at self-employment just as the people's main field, that's down over the past few years, especially compared to 2019. And so I don't think that's been a sort of a major shift towards gig work as the job market has weakened. It's really kind of paid employment, private sector employment that's been on the soft side along with self-employment. And then on the public sector side, public sector was actually on the weaker side in today's numbers as well. But that's been an area of strength, not just government, but healthcare in particular, and social assistance have been some of the key sources of strength in the job numbers of late. But whether people are working more jobs, I don't see many signs of that.
All right, I just want to sneak in one more question. I know we're almost out of time. U.S. adding 115, almost double what was the survey. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so both the U.S., and this is important context for Canada as well, that demographics are an important driver of just the trend in job growth. Both Canada and the U.S. are aging and have slower paces of immigration than we had just a few years ago. And so 115 in over kind of like a longer period, that's not a huge number for the U.S. But in the context of basically flat, if not declining, working age population, that's one that is on the robust side, and it's enough to keep the labor market steady. And this is an important thing to interpret the Canadian numbers as well. Canadian working age population is in slight decline now, especially as the number of non-permanent residents has been declining over the past year. And this just mechanically impacts the number of people working because it impacts the size of the labor force, the pool of people who could be working. And so when we kind of judge the strength of a jobs report, it's important to have this in the back of our mind. Now, when it comes to the Canadian numbers, this was still a weak report. We saw the unemployment rate rise from 6.7 to 6.9%. So that's not a great sign. But kind of when we see underwhelming or flat employment reading numbers, it's important to have these demographic shifts in the back of our mind as well.
All right, we have to wrap it up there, Brendan, but thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me.
Brendan Bernard is senior economist at Indeed. Time for our top stories right now. First quarter income for TELUS fell a little more than 8%, but met estimates. Revenue was also slightly down from last year, with the Vancouver-based company seeing a 40% drop in mobile phone additions. TELUS says it is ramping up facilities in Quebec and British Columbia to meet continued demand for AI-related services. TELUS also announced a new CFO. The federal government is granting Ford $464 million to revamp the automaker's factory in Oakville, Ontario. The new plant will accommodate the annual production of 100,000 heavy-duty pickup trucks and a metal stamping facility by 2029. The factory has been closed since 2024 when Ford shelved plans to transform the site into an EV manufacturing hub. It will employ 1,800 people when it opens later this year. The parliamentary budget officer says Ottawa's spring economic update leaves questions unanswered, highlighting the federal government's lack of transparency on spending targets and results. The budget watchdog says the update provided some metrics on progress, but few mentions of specific objectives. In an interview with BNN Bloomberg's Amanda Lang, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne says there's still more work to be done.
Well, if you look at the major project office, you have about $126 billion projects. You see we are at record levels, but there's still more work to do. Yeah, we're just getting started. Interprovincial barriers. We need to remove that. That would add $200 billion to the Canadian economy. So there's still work to be done, diversifying our market, removing interprovincial trade barriers, continuing to develop critical minerals and natural resources. But I would just say that what you saw in the numbers, this is not an old story.
Tune in to Taking Stock with Amanda Lang today at 3 p.m. Eastern to see the full interview as Minister Champagne outlines the plan to get back to balance. Still ahead, war is reshaping global markets, so where is the smart money hiding as defense spending and battlefield technology explode? Also, of course, our phone lines are open. Jeff Hall is taking your questions on U.S. and global stocks. You can reach us at 1-855-326-6266. Email us. First call at bellmedia.ca. As global conflict intensifies, defense spending is soaring, and investors are hunting for where the real opportunities lie. For more, we're back with Jeff Hall, Senior Financial Advisor at Manulife Wealth. Talk a little bit about some of those opportunities and what the future battlefields might look like, I guess.
It's getting stranger.
They're kind of looking like them now, but...
Yeah, it's getting stranger and stranger. There's always been the kind of shadow wars of the information wars out there, trying to move the public opinion through the media and things like that.
Propaganda's been around as long as two people were fighting.
Exactly. And then you have cyber wars, things that the public doesn't see. You have the Chinese balloon testing. So there's all these things going on. But the big change since the second part of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, let's say about 4 years ago, was this concept of drone swarming, this overwhelm where before you just have one drone coming in, they can kind of take it out or take it down. But now a young teenager with a couple little, $500 drones with a grenade can take out an $18 million tank. So it's really changed warfare, but really that drone swarming idea where, if I was up at my cottage and a mosquito's going to get me, I can go slap and I'm done. But if 100 hit me at the same time, they're getting fed.
They're taking that from one of those Gerard Butler movies, the Fallen movies.
Yeah, the White House Down.
Yeah. They're taking it from that. It's crazy. But so what does that mean then? Where are the opportunities? Is it AI? I mean, does it go back? Does all this end up back at AI? Because that's the ability. That's what's coordinating this?
Well, kind of. There's this evolution. Again, it all started because the real battlefield of recent times has been Ukraine. What they used to have is certain drones, and you'd knock them out of the sky with frequencies. You'd catch the frequency, confuse the drone, and it would drop out of the sky. Then they started putting a tether, like a leash on it, some as long as 20 kilometers, like a fishing line of fiber optic. Then the Russians would hide, and as the drones would go by, they'd run out with massive shears and cut it, and then the drone would follow the sky. So you have to come out with different ones. But Iran has these very simple Shahed 136 drones. They're kamikaze drones. Once you load in the coordinates, there's no other communicating with it. It's gone.
It's gone.
So you can't knock it out of the sky. There's nothing to cut. There's not a tether back to the operator. And they're $35,000. Meanwhile, how many U.S. missiles can be shot of the Tomahawks, which are $3 to $4 million, to shoot down 35,000 drones? Iran can do this all day long, as an example. By the way, that's the drones a lot of Russians are using, is the Shahed 136 drones from Iran.
Yeah, they're running short because of what's
exactly.
going on.
Well, that's part of the Ukraine tipping now. No one talks about it, but by blowing up the factories for a lot of them for the 136 Shahed drones in Iran, Russia's not getting their deliveries from Iran. So that's actually helping take some pressure off the Ukrainians. So there's all this interconnectivity, but drones aren't just in the air. Sometimes drones are beneath the surface of water. Even Canada's got one on our East Coast called Kraken Robotics as an example. So it's interesting to see. So for a mine, potential water mines in the Hormuz Strait as an example, sometimes it's good to have drones underneath looking for these type of water mines. There's 4 different types that can help identify those as one example.
I mean, is there a big market for all these things, or is it because it's what we're talking about right now? Because the defense sector really hasn't taken off valuation-wise, has it?
No,
we haven't seen a huge surge of money that way.
No, you'd think you would have. Even with NATO going to everyone committing because of Trump finally to the 2% they're supposed to be doing for decades, and then Trump now pushing in this term to 5%. That's money raining from the sky, and it actually is. It's not potential money; it's money being spent.
Money, yeah.
But I think the challenge is it's too big of a leap from public investors and even some professionals to really understand the aerospace and defense industry, even the name defense. Even the in the U.S. they changed it to the Department of War. At least people knew what it was. It wasn't just defense only. So I think a lot of the public have trouble learning a lot about that. Even the professionals that want to dig down into Lockheed Martin, you can't see all their numbers. Some of it's what we call black budget, because they don't want enemies in the world to know what they're working on and where the budgets are going. So it's kind of a tough area to understand. But you're right. There's a lot of earnings going right through the roof, especially with the current conflict in Iran. They're going through missiles like water. And the challenge there is that they just don't have that ability to be known enough for the public to start putting money in there, and therefore the stocks aren't operating like they should. The stocks should be up significantly, and they're just not moving.
And what do you do? Do you do anything with them? What do you do with them?
I do a bit within the defense sector, but it's very selective. I prefer what we call consumables, like the RTX, formerly known as Raytheon, makes the Tomahawk missiles. Trump's going through those like crazy, versus, say, buying a General Dynamics where you're going to order a submarine and get it in 12 years. I want to have stuff now. And consumables, you get that recurring revenue all the time. But then also investors have to be careful. Are you going to get a pure play defense contractor, or is it a hybrid? So Boeing makes, obviously, airliners that the public flies around. People don't realize almost half of their income comes from the military and things like Apache helicopters and other things as well. Where if you get Lockheed Martin, about 98% of all their money comes in on strictly military stuff, nothing to do with public prosumer type of companies, as an example.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there. But still ahead, we'll take a look at some of the notable analyst calls and recommendations moving the markets, including analysts reacting to Aritzia's earnings. Time to take a look at some of the notable analyst calls and recommendations. One for today, Aritzia is getting a wave of price target upgrades, with RBC's analyst raising its price target to $193, citing strong demand and execution, while Stifel lifted its target to $180 from $158. National Bank Financial raising it to $171 from $143, all of them maintaining positive ratings. The upgrades followed Aritzia's latest earnings, which beat expectations as sales surged across regions and digital, margins improved, and earnings per share reached a record high. For more on the earnings results, let's bring in Jeff Hull and get his thoughts on Aritzia, the fashion maven that you are.
Absolutely. I think Jennifer Wong, the CEO, has actually done a really good job, because the big problem in that whole industry of apparel and fashion and that is, how do you stick handle all the tariffs? Especially when you get some stuff made in some stuff's made in China, some stuff's made in Malaysia, some are made in Vietnam. And how do you stick handle all this? Especially because Donald Trump keeps it interesting. It's like dodgeball. He's changing his mind half the time. So she's done a great job stick handling that. So I give a hats off to him. It's not an area that I tend to invest in, but I think she's done a good job with the company.
Yeah, I mean, fashion can be fickle, right?
Absolutely.
It can be very fickle. And I think to know where trends are going and to be able to respond and react, it seems like it. She said there have been a couple of good quarters for them. And I think they have their expansion plans for the U.S., I think. So.
Yeah, they actually did really good, actually. Their sales grew significantly down there. When you get over 28% sales growth, 33% increase on their margins, they're also bringing out their own proprietary brands that kind of have a little bit of cachet to them. So they're actually done a really good job on that, trying to not just figure out where demand is going, but try to create some demand with some unique products that way. So overall, it's actually being well run, I have to say. It's not been an easy environment for that whole industry, and she's stick handled it very well.
All right. We'll leave it on that note there. When we come back, Jeff's going to take your questions on First Call. Time for First Call and first email, and that one comes from Paul, who says, what's your guest's opinion, or option, I should say, on BN Brookfield Corporation? It doesn't pay much of a dividend. I've held it, as well as BAM, for 10 years now. Would you take those funds and invest in another sector?
Yeah, Brookfield is an interesting one. Huge insider ownership there, obviously a connection to Kearney. But as you know, Brookfield has many different silos within its business and different stocks for different things. Overall, well-run company. They know their stuff. But at the same time, I'd probably look, well, it depends on the person. Do they have a large capital gain or not? He's been there for 10 years. So I don't know his individual circumstances. But that's a company that I would probably look to, maybe if his whole portfolio is just Canada, I try to maybe diversify south of the border and take advantage of the tornado that is Trump, where sometimes you get deals and bargains on things. Even Iran as an example. Such a distraction for everybody, but there's almost all the companies in North America have nothing to do with Iran. Nobody's done business with Iran for 47 years. So you can use those opportunities to go in and sweep in and get great companies at a discount, where I wouldn't say Brookfield is really at a discount now. So there could be some other opportunities they could explore. But overall, Brookfield's a massive colossus and a good business overall.
All right. Next email is from Umesh. I would like Jeff's opinion on comfort systems as a way to play data center infrastructure. Is this a good entry point, or should I wait for a pullback?
Comfort Systems, symbol FIX. That's an interesting one, actually. So it's actually a company that does construction, plumbing, electrical work. They actually are very involved with data center build-out, which is a huge array of infrastructure right now, going out from everything from Amazon to Google to Meta to Microsoft. So it's an interesting business that provides all of those services. And they've kind of carved themselves out a really interesting niche there. And I think it's a good business, actually. Their earnings are great. The stock's done amazing. Overall, it's a good business. Actually, I do like that one quite a bit, actually. It's another angle to play AI in data centers without going into the deep end of AI specifically. You're kind of around the edges, kind of taking advantage in the shadows. And sometimes because of that, sometimes you can get it at a better deal as well.
And on a side note, we were talking about some of these electricians and that, what they're pulling in now down in the U.S. with all that data center build out.
Yeah, young kids, 23 electricians pulling in $250,000 plus in US dollars per year. It's an amazing opportunity for young people that are willing to get into the trades. There's a great opportunity there because it's not going to be replaced tomorrow by an Optimus robot from Tesla or something. These trades in plumbing and things like that are really becoming more and more important, especially for that build out of AI into the future.
Yeah, stay in school, kids, trade school.
You got it. You got it.
I mean, it's great. There's, it's good to see opportunities like that for the people and for young people especially. So it's something to look at. Jeff, thank you as always for joining us. Have yourself a great weekend. We always appreciate you when you're here. Thank you.
Pleasure. Always fun.
And that is it for us here on The Street. Again, thanks to Jeff Hall, Senior Financial Advisor at Manulife Wealth. Lindsay's up next with the Open. Trading gets underway about 30 minutes from now. Have yourself a great day and a great weekend.